I got into a Twitter feud with Megyn Kelly last night, which is something that I need to reflect on internally, for sure. And I know that, maybe for some people, like hearing about the details of a Twitter feud is kind of like, hearing about somebody's fantasy football team's loss. It's sort of like, okay, buddy, this mattered to you really more than to the rest of us. In this case, it's a little bit of an exception, not because I think you care about the blow by blow of my feud with Megyn Kelly, but because the arguments that she is making are extremely alarming. And they're psychotic. They're also alarming. And they speak to a larger trend of what we're seeing right now on the right that is chilling. And I think...
So in this clip, Tim Miller is going to destroy Megyn Kelly. This isn't the first time Tim Miller's had to destroy Megyn Kelly. And Megyn Kelly needs to be destroyed because Megyn Kelly says too much stuff that does not make sense. Megyn Kelly's always just trying to go with the grift, go with the cool kids or whatever Megyn Kelly thinks it is. And it is really tiring. And Megyn Kelly needs to get really, just annihilated verbally. I have to remember where we are in America right now, so I don't want to say it like that. But and Tim Miller's gonna satisfy us and take down Megyn Kelly. And this is something that does need to be talked about. So let's get into these tweets. I must have missed this Twitter tweet thing, so we're just gonna get right into it.
Who are here either illegally or have other issues with their legal status. The idea that person would act so brazenly illegally, you think would be unacceptable in any situation, not in this administration of mob bosses. So Megyn Kelly's reaction to that story that Tom Homan had taken the bribe was, "We do not care. Don't bother real Tom Homan. He's a national treasure." So I guess some points for just honesty. She doesn't care. We can live in a banana republic. We can live in a kleptocracy. High-ranking officials in the Trump administration can line their pockets. Corruption doesn't matter. All that matters is this unending battle between MAGA and anti-MAGA, right? That's all that matters to Megyn Kelly. She doesn't care if they cheat. She doesn't care if they break the law. She doesn't care if they cheat on their wives. She doesn't care if they have allegations of sexual assault and harassment. She doesn't care about any of that. She doesn't care. As long as you're wearing the MAGA hat, Megyn Kelly thinks you can act with impunity. And she's just extremely blunt about that. My colleague Sam Stein posted that. It does raise an interesting question if there is a limiting principle to that. Is there anything that someone in the Trump administration could do that Megyn Kelly would object to? And I think the answer is basically no, as long as it advanced their mission, right? If somebody in the MAGA...
Right. Oh my goodness. And he's right. And by the way, I am going to add a Megyn Kelly clip to this so you can see exactly what he's talking about. So guys, please give me a long duration on this. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you to every eye that lands on these videos. Really trying to bring this channel back. So yeah, but I'm going to show you, proof of this. I'm just trying to see when is he going to get to like the full part of the what he said to her and all of that. Bear with me. Okay.
And Kelly will be okay with it. So I guess points for bluntness. I replied to that with a rhetorical question, as Kamala might say. You don't care that government officials are taking cash bribes? What? It's like, what? Really? Like, we can't even agree on that? I as I said, I thought that was a rhetorical question that would just sort of... float into the air, float into the ether of our internet discourse. But Megyn Kelly took that one sentence rhetorical question very seriously. And she spent, what appears to be the better part of a couple hours crafting a reply to it that was like Canterbury Tales in length. I'm not going to be able to read all of it because we have limited bandwidth on this YouTube page, and the upload time would take so long if I read everything that Megyn Kelly wrote in response to my rhetorical question. But I'm going to read some of the key passages. It starts like this. Also, by the way, it's so long that people were confused why I was replying to her as if she was talking to me, because you have to scroll so far to get to the fact that this is a quote tweet on top of my tweet. So like I said, you don't care that government officials are taking cash bribes? What? She replies with a quote tweet thusly: "We don't trust you. We don't trust the work of your president's DOJ. We don't trust the work of your president's FBI. You indicted our presidential candidate 4 times with made-up BS charges, trying to put him in jail for life. You changed laws so he could be civilly sued by a woman who didn't even remember what year her alleged rape by him was. You let an AG who ran for office promising to get Trump try to bankrupt him on a claim so specious even the New York Appellate Court scoffed at it and had to reverse the damage award. Quick aside here, seems like the system worked there in that case, but we'll just leave that. Let's put a pin in that. Then she goes on. One of yours killed Charlie, and then you laughed at our pain, protested our vigils, and said Charlie was to blame and in hell. You lied about the killer's motives and said he was MAGA when you knew he wasn't. You put us all in danger by not admitting the truth and then not relenting on the lies you tell about us. You cried endless tears for Jimmy Kimmel, but none for Charlie. That's all, Megyn. Again, we're about 40% way through this tweet here. I had 2 replies to that. The first one was about this pronoun usage. Megyn is somebody who's very obsessed with pronoun usage. Right? She doesn't like it when people have to put their pronouns in their bio.
She wasn't always obsessed with that. Megyn used to promote for young kids to take the medication that now she's so against. Megyn Kelly is a fraud.
Or clarify what their pronouns are. It's a big issue for her on her podcast. She seems to really struggle with pronoun usage herself. She keeps saying this, we don't trust you. Who's the we? Does everybody not trust me? Does everybody not trust Carol Leonnig from the Washington Post, who's been a great reporter who broke this story? We don't trust the work of your president's DOJ. Like with some context clues, I guess she's saying there that Biden was my president and not hers. I don't know who the we is there. It continues to go on. You did this, you did that. You changed laws so he could be civilly sued. I didn't do any of these things. I didn't do any of that.
But see, and you know what I like about MAGA is that, because there was a time where black people were like, Trump is not my president, it's Obama still. And even me, I was like, all right, y'all, like, y'all gotta, like, you know what I mean? Like, at the time, I wasn't, I was still like a Democrat, which I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm just, an American who's wondering what the hell is going on with our system these days. But I was like, guys, we have a new president. You ain't gotta like him, but we have a new president. And MAGA makes fun of them, they made jokes. Megyn Kelly's doing exactly the same thing that they bust on black people for doing with Obama. So what is this, right? But let's look at her thing.
Radical left felt differently about the day. They weren't moved. You'll be shocked to hear the people who would celebrate Charlie's death also found no reason to repent, having gotten to know his friends, his family, his wife, his colleagues. Nothing could move them. And so they decided to zero in on that one comment by Trump, which was funny and, as you say, self-deprecating, and on Stephen Miller's speech, which I'm just going to be honest, was one of my favorite speeches.
I loved it.
Because
I told him I loved it.
Shocking? Are we shocked? These are the people who Tim Miller's talking about. It's like automatically, the radical left isn't like, they just really need this beast to fight. Now, don't get me wrong. I have seen some reactions from people where I'm like, come on, y'all are out of pocket. Like, it's just not even that deep to be this way. But if MAGA doesn't have, and this is why these people are so disingenuous to me. If MAGA doesn't have an enemy to fight, then they feel like there's no point for them. Okay, fine. I can understand that. I think that actually is the human condition for the most part, right? We always, we're fighting, we're coming together, we're fighting X, Y, Z, and this, that, and the third, especially as a group, a base, or whatever. Cool. Why don't you fight the Israel lobby? Right? You want to talk about something that's actually been, yes, there are a bunch of kids, by the way, who are already, scientifically warped, unfortunately, sadly, probably because of all the chemicals that we pump into them, that are prime and ready to be, set up to do some crazy things. We'll just put it that way. And sometimes we have our own 3-letter agencies that helps them a little bit along with that, allegedly. And that is a problem, and it's something that should be talked about. But what about the problem of, like, going to war for a country that is not ours, right? They'll never talk about it. They'll never, I just don't get it. There is a problem here that we can all talk about. Speaker Mike Johnson is running around making sure that people who dissent to this, who would be running for government, do not get the opportunity to probably even get their name on the ballot. You want to talk about civil war? Tell me that's not a civil war.
My anger is still strong, and it was one of those shoot it into my veins moments. I wanted to hear him say, like, we're going to go after our enemies. Like, there's a reason they killed Charlie, and it was like, yes. So we cut a little bit of this so-called rage fest. Rage fest is how the Huffington Post described Charlie's memorial. The whole thing. Okay. It was not a rage fest. The opposite. It was a love fest. But some of us needed the Stephen Miller moment. And
it wasn't a rage fest. I'll say that. It wasn't a rage fest, but it certainly was a propaganda fest. It certainly was a rally. I mean, they were registering voters, and people would say Charlie would want that. That's between them, however they want to do it, whatever. Pyrotechnics, fireworks, what was going on?
Part of it.
Defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us, because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity.
Just so you know, Stephen Miller is a Zionist Jew. And the reason why I bring this up is because I listened to the speech and I don't think that he's necessarily talking to the left. I actually think that he's talking to dissenters of, he's talking to isolationists, people who do not agree with the government, especially in its current state right now, right? That's what I hear. Because what are you saying? How is this a Christian? And I am a Christian. How is this a Christian funeral? And you're telling people you're nothing, you're not going to ever be nothing. Basically, like, what is it, some street fight? You ain't never going to be ish. You ain't gonna be like, that's how it's coming off. It's supposed to be unifying. To tell people they are nothing, right? Okay, the hateful people. What you can say, you have a lot of hate in your heart, and in this moment, we ask you to find Christ, find God. This man is not going to say that, right? This is MAGA. Okay, this is what MAGA is. This is not. This isn't fighting the left. That's not what that's not what that sounds like. And even if it was, that's not how you do it. Like what is his message to the very, very hateful people out there, because they do exist, and I'm not going to act like they don't. Redemption is for everybody. Calm down, get offline, find your creator, and, make something of yourself. This speech is disgusting. Megyn Kelly says it's her favorite, and this is the type of people that Tim Miller is talking about. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.